Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending where you are in the world. This is Jeremiah Hosea. I'm so honored to be here once again. It is such a pleasure and such a privilege to be on the PRN airwaves, talking to the most enlightened and creative and truth-seeking audience in the world. It's an honor to be on the air after Gary Null. It's an honor to be invited here by Catherine Davis, and we'll be honored shortly with an outstanding guest, a very intelligent, interesting man who I came across, a new friend of mine who I consider a comrade in the medical freedom movement, and that is a man who goes by the name of the Family Man, Jeremy Poole. I'm a family man myself, so we both relate very much as family men. And we have all the way from Barcelona, Spain, on the line, if I'm not mistaken, the Family Man, Jeremy Poole. Are you there, Jeremy?
I am, and thanks for that introduction. Enjoyed that. I don't know how true it is, but yeah, I feel the same about you since I've been listening to you, and much the same opinion. Come on, here, it says progressive radio voices, and whenever I hear the word progressive, I shudder.
I shudder when I hear a lot of words, but yeah, why is that? Let's jump right in.
Well, because the word progressive has been hijacked, I would say, by what I would call an extreme left regressive movement that believes in censorship, that believes in total control, mind control, stopping any kind of freedoms that we have. Whereas I come from more of a small government anarchist point of view. I do not like governments almost at all. Well, yeah, that's where I come from. So when I see the progressive movement as a complete control and censorship movement, which it is, I shudder. But the real progressive movement, and I suppose the other, I'm sorry, I could talk forever, you've heard me. The other problem is progressive means going somewhere. And some people are going to the wrong place. That is, you have to know where you're progressing to be progressive. If you're progressing towards freedom of speech, towards love, towards what I would say is God, then perhaps progressive is good. But when you're progressing towards a sort of an entitled, narcissistic world where selfies, self-indulgence and this kind of thing is more important than
the family,
than selflessness and the family. Yeah, I got 6 kids, and
busy man,
and every one of them is a person in their own right. They're not 6 kids; they're 6 human beings.
Right.
And yeah, so that's my introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm in the region of Barcelona, not in the city. I live up near the Pyrenees more than in the actual city itself. I'm not a city boy.
And you're from South Wales originally, correct?
I'm from Wales, South Wales, the valleys, the industrial region of South Wales. That's where I picked up most of my anti-government stances. It's a very, very left-wing area.
Right.
Very, very left-wing area. Yeah, and I've always sort of gone against the grain. And this is what's led me to freedom movements.
Right. And that's how I discovered you. So when COVID hit, I just began a wild search of information, and I searched on various platforms. Bitchute, which is considered sort of like the seedy underground YouTube.
Yeah.
You can't go to Bitchute. Terrorists are on Bitchute. But the fact of the matter is, it's like any other medium. There's a lot of bad information, and if you look, there's a lot of outstanding information. For example, I could search any number of topics on Bitchute, and somehow there are people who have the wherewithal to present very clear scientific lectures and gatherings. There are also individuals who do their own sort of podcasting and produce their own media, and that's how I discovered Jeremy. He has a very nice I call you a Bitchute legend, Jeremy. I hope you don't mind.
That's great. I do like Bitchute. It's very easy to use, and well, I was on Bitchute and on YouTube, but as soon as the pandemic hit, that was me gone.
Did they censor you, or did you remove yourself?
Wuhan? There's a laboratory there.
Were you censored by YouTube, Jeremy, or did you remove yourself?
Oh, no. I fought teeth and claw, but I wouldn't censor myself. This was the problem.
They censored you.
Yes, I lost, I think, 4 different channels. I was going up, I had about 5,000 followers. Then I lost the channel, and then I was shadow banned. I got back up to about 3,000, banned again. 3rd channel, 800, banned again. 4th channel, it didn't make ground. Then, amazingly, about a year later, the 1st channel came back, and it immediately got banned. People were calling up my videos. I think I got trolled more than anything, because I was having videos that I'd done 2 years before picked up. It was, retrospective attack on me for things I've said in the past. And I still stand by everything. I changed my opinion on things, which you all should, if you find new information. But then you go back and you say, but I'm going to leave that video there because that's what I thought 2 years ago. That's what I thought 3 years ago.
Right.
And I don't believe you can be held account. You say, yeah, I've changed my opinion on that.
Let me ask you a very general question, because there's a lot of things I want to cover with you. I'm very fascinated by your insights, and I would like to also take some callers today.
Please. I'm quite happy to talk to anybody.
Excellent. So there's a number of things I want to discuss with you, but one thing that comes to mind right now as you speak is sort of a general question, which is, where did you get this sort of wherewithal that you have? What's your intellectual background? I saw you covering something which is very important to me, and actually the subject of my last Substack, which I released early this morning at about 6 in the morning. And my main issue, or one of my main issues that I think should be really everybody's, if not main issue, way up there, is this discussion of excess mortality and excess deaths that we've witnessed since the shots. But before we actually delve into that conversation, I just want to ask, where did you get this wherewithal to be very comfortable in presenting statistics? I find your presentation to be very clear. You seem very competent. Do you have a background in analytics or statistics? What's the deal?
My degree is in economics. So I went to university and studied economics, which gives me a base, not a great base, but you look at statistics. I was a maths teacher, so
that helps.
I've gone down that road. But I also write and read a lot, and I like, if I see
you have a
something...
beautiful library, by the way, behind you. I can only wonder what's on those shelves.
You're not on camera now, but I read all the books that have been read, most of them twice. And I like historical fiction books, so I can learn history. And when if I talk about things, I like to make sure I've got statistics to prove it.
Right.
My wife is pulling her hair out most of the time, because whenever she says something, I say, well, I don't know if that's true. I said, because this statistic suggests otherwise. She says, "Oh, shut up!"
Yeah. My wife is probably laughing if she. And
I like to have something to back up what I say every time. It's very difficult sometimes, but because as one of my favorite sayings, first day in university, lies, damn lies, and statistics.
Right.
And you can get statistics to prove anything, but I like to I don't try and prove things. I take the Euromomo statistics, the weekly excess death statistics in the UK, the monthly vaccine death certificates. That's disappeared at the moment. And I look through them, and sometimes it takes me hours, and I haven't got time sometimes, so I just pick out what I can. But
sure.
Yeah, I just look at them, and being a economics graduate and having taught maths, it gives me a base. Not a great in-depth, but I think that's what makes it easier. I don't have that great in-depth. I look at that.
Right.
Put together what is correct. Well, my opinion is correct, of course. Other people would argue.
Right. Well, I would love to talk about the medical freedom movement and excess death, but I want to get back to that. I want to ask you, and I'm just going to jump right into it. I'm just going to ask you bluntly, Jeremy Poole, are you a climate change denier?
No. I believe in climate change. I believe the only climate change deniers out there are the people who think that if you tax CO2 for poor people, you will stop any kind of climate change. I believe climate has changed through the history of the world, and it will continue to change. There's this ball in the sky that when it comes up in the morning, I don't know what happens. I think CO2 must rise because it gets warmer. When it goes down in the night, CO2 must fall because it gets colder. It's only CO2 can change climate. We know that. Okay, up there. But no, I believe in climate change. But what people always throw is climate change denier, when I think that CO2 is not the trigger. it follows. And CO2 is part of climate change, of course it is. But I do not even believe we're in any kind of climate emergency. And I would argue with anybody, and I've got on my computer, I got every year's temperature in the UK and every year's problem since the 1600s. And I can tell you, temperature and climate was a lot worse in the 16 to 1850s. Much colder, much more droughts, bigger storms, people dying a lot more than it is now. The biggest storm in the UK, the biggest typhoon was, I think, 1810? Something like that. I don't know off the top of my head, but it was about there. So things are not... 1607, the North Sea, no, 1607, yeah, the North Sea froze over. Now, that's not never happened for 200-300 years, but it did. If that happened now, it would be climate change caused by humans. Well, I don't know who caused it in 1607. Anyway, you've got to stop me. When I go off on one, you have to stop me, Jeremiah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm listening to you, and I think you're doing a great job. I'll just weigh in quickly. I'm no expert in climate science. I won't even pretend to be. I've been interested in the topic for a long time, but I would never claim in any way that I'm an expert. And I've heard a lot of interesting things on both sides. One thing I will definitely say is I am in total distrust of the new, I would say the neoliberal climate change agenda. For example, there was this incredible video circulating from a hearing with John Kerry, who was, a former presidential candidate who...
mega rich, big planes, big cars.
Exactly. And they asked him about his private plane in some sort of hearing. They said, well, how can you be a private plane owner and a climate change activist? He said, I don't own a plane. They said, I'd like to admit into the record a article showing that your family was selling your private plane. Oh, that's my wife's plane.
Yes, I've seen that one.
And that's
It's
the guy
crazy.
who gets put up as the environmental activist of America. I mean, how absurd, we're just, and so basically I see, just like with COVID, it makes sense to me, and a lot of people have been sort of buzzing about this, that climate change is the next phase of the game in terms of a means of controlling us. You can't drive your car too far. You can't buy this. You can't use a wooden stove. You can't do this, that, and the other thing. And it reminds me of a little pamphlet I saw. I believe the author, I don't remember his full name, Jensen, but there was a really interesting pamphlet with a great title called Forget Shorter Showers. This notion, you'll save the world by taking a shorter shower. Well, how about Bill Gates and the other climate change activists stop jet setting around the planet in their polluting private planes and all of their extraordinary usage of energy on a daily basis?
Excuse me, Bill Gates is wonderful. He just invested $80 million in a company to take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere.
Oh.
And at the same time, as an article come out saying that trees, actually the Amazon rainforest now is a carbon, it's not taking in carbon dioxide, it's letting it out. So I can imagine where that's going. You need to build these carbon sinks and cut down the rainforests.
Right.
These people are in it for the money.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. There is no...
Yeah, for anyone who checked out my last...
pollution. Stop pollution as much as you can. But there's one thing that there's plenty of things, not one thing, that's never mentioned. You've got the greening of the earth, carbon dioxide. If you were from a cold area like I am, you know what a greenhouse does. It encourages plants to grow. You put carbon dioxide and warmth in there and plants grow. That's clear for any farmer. And that's what's happened to the earth. The earth has got massively greener over the past 40 or 50 years. And I believe I got on my shirt, actually, that I'm wearing now. Of the atmosphere, the increase in carbon dioxide, some of it has been human, I think it's about 4%. But the vast majority is out of the oceans, out of different things. And of the whole atmosphere, the human-caused carbon dioxide is 0.0078%. It's a tiny amount. The oceans still hold about 99% of the carbon dioxide. The rocks hold, well, the carbon dioxide. It's just falling for the last 100 million years, however old this planet is. Carbon dioxide is falling. And if it had kept falling the way it was, we'd have been in a lot more problems. I'm off on one again.
Very interesting, very interesting. My only issue in general, and you'll get to know this about me, Jeremy, I never accept option A or option B. I find myself always gravitating towards a third-party option. And while I'm totally suspicious and totally prepared to resist the fake climate agenda that wishes to diminish my quality of life and so on and so forth, I'm also a little concerned on the other end, however, because I do believe we're polluting the planet. I do believe we're harming the ecosystem. A different story.
Completely different story.
Right. We need clean air. We need clean water, and we're poisoning our planet, which is our mother by the indigenous concept. We have a Mother Earth, and we're just poisoning our own mother, which is going to come back and bite us inevitably.
Now, I think you'll find all these people they call climate deniers think exactly the same as that. I've never met one that doesn't, that says, okay, let's look at clean energy. Let's start using things like saltwater reactors, stable saltwater reactors, these small nuclear reactors that use the waste burners. They use nuclear waste and cut it down by about 90%. And then this nuclear waste, I say only, it's only radioactive for 300 years instead of the thousands of the current nuclear waste. In with some environmental ones. I'm a bird watcher, and I hate these bloody windmills all over the place. Because the number of birds around here, there's a lot of vultures. And this sounds crazy, and it sounds quite funny, but it's not when you see 50 dead vultures below one of them. Because if one vulture gets hit, it dies and goes on the floor and rots. So all the other vultures come around in a circle, boom, 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 all dead by these bloody big wind turbines.
Wow.
And then all the birds, it's incredible how many birds they kill.
Right, I heard a similar thing about solar, that solar basically negates all of the good that it does. And I'm not, it's interesting, my brother would probably hate to hear me say this because he sells solar panels for a living right now. But I heard that there's all this really harmful strip mining. That's how we get our solar panels. So we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot to save the other foot kind of thing.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter because that's probably happening in Africa. So that doesn't count.
Yeah, exactly. Like the cobalt, the coltan that they turn Democratic Republic of Congo into just a hell on earth so that we can.
And if you have to call
something
items. A Democratic Republic, it's not Democratic.
I was just thinking the same thing.
As
I was saying it,
then it's not.
And then truthfully, is there a democracy in this world? Is there a country that's not a plutocracy and a kleptocracy and ultimately run by oligarchs?
Yeah,
Does that exist?
I'm not a democracy fan. I can't see many other alternatives, but I'm more of an anarchist because I think why should it be that the majority of people that I don't vote for decide what money they steal off me each year, what happens to me, and I don't buy it because I decided a long time ago I don't agree with you. I don't want to be part of this.
Right.
I want to go my own way. And I can't. I'm not allowed to. And in America, the same.
Can I offer you a historical interpretation? And I'd just love to hear your reaction to a simple statement I'd like to make, which is I think that the communists, quote unquote, and the anarchists came to a lot of the same conclusions historically. I think there's a lot of overlap between Marx and Bakunin, for example. But the final conclusion is where a major rift occurs because the communists say we need to seize control of state power and the anarchists say we have to dissolve the state.
Exactly. Well, this is why I cannot... I think communism is as bad as fascism because it's all about seizing power, taking control with another big state, whereas I just want my local town and another local town to decide. And I believe this is I've on my channel I've had fascists on and talked to them, and because I believe in free speech, genuinely, and I would defend anybody's right to speak.
Me too.
So it used to be when I was a kid, when I was a youngster, the left wing defended that with every bone in their body. Now they're closing everything down. They're closing everything they disagree with. down. You can't say there's a great example. Before I was coming out, I always check out the latest news on the BBC, and the title was this Spanish Rubiales that kissed the girl when they won the World Cup, and she didn't want to be kissed. Right, fine, give him a bollocking, whatever. But it's been on the news over here and in Britain for 3 weeks.
Wow. What are they trying to hide?
No, and they want him sacked, and everybody around you say, hey, he should be sacked because he's too macho, blah, blah, blah. Fine, if they agree with that.
You know what's interesting? There's do you know the famous photo of the American sailor who came back? I think it was from World War II, and he's kissing some woman, and it turns out, that kiss was against the woman's will. Like, it's an iconic photo. And he's 50 years later, I didn't ask that guy to kiss me. That was actually like sexual assault. Yeah,
well, somebody's now, they're going after him for sexual assault, but more than that, this was the women's boss football team. They won the World Cup. But the men's boss applauded him when he did a speech. Now they're calling for the men's boss to be sacked because he applauded this guy. Now, what if I applaud the men's boss now for doing something else? Is it like guilt by association set at a second level? It's crazy.
Right.
I don't agree with what the guy did, right? I don't. And I think he's stupid. I don't think you can just go and kiss a woman straight on the lips.
It shouldn't be front and center in the news cycle for 3 weeks, though. Not
exactly.
With everything
that's
that's
what
going
I'm saying.
on. That's an absurdity.
He was wrong. Bump. Slap his wrist. Say, don't be an arse, mate. Don't be an arse. And if you want to say, you don't represent us anymore, goodbye. But his mother is on hunger strike at the moment because the news media have been harassing her.
Wow.
It shows that if you stand up against what I call the feminocracy, they keep coming for you. They keep coming until you have nowhere to hide, and they will not let it go. And as soon as you apologize, you're dead.
Cancel culture.
Cancel culture, yeah. And I think the right is going down that road as well, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I've totally lost track of what we call the left and the right, and I don't want to actually engage into a whole discussion about that and trying to break down that landscape, because to me, in a fundamental definition, I've always been a leftist. I was raised a leftist, and what that meant to me was just power to the people. That's it. I side with the people over the powerful. So when people stop doing that, to me, you're not left. The definition of left didn't change. You're not left is what's the deal. So if you're not standing,
people don't understand that now. If I say I couldn't vote for Joe Biden because he's for me, he's as right as anybody else.
Oh, he's such a right winger. It's insane.
I'm not leftist. I don't think I ever have been, but I'm not right wing because I cannot. The power thing is wrong for me. But at the moment,
it's interesting, Jeremy.
Said, who are you going to vote for, Biden or Trump? I go, shit, Trump. I wouldn't even have a question about that because at least he's honestly dishonest, I would say. He's not. There's not so much pretense of this.
Well,
he made money outside.
I'll tell you, I don't want the rest of this show to be hijacked by Donald Trump, although I would love to talk about that issue with you. It's just he gets so much airtime. He should be promoting me, not the other way around.
This is it. But that's him. He's good at that, isn't he?
He is. But I'll have to say, though, there's something, this whole theater, the political theater that they parade before us, leaves me to wonder, are they compelling us to Donald Trump? They're making him into a folk hero. As a friend of mine
now
posted in
who else can represent the working class?
Yeah, I mean,
Biden can't.
Oh, absolutely not. But I mean, he released a video just a day or so ago where he says, do not comply, stand up against the restrictions. Yeah, I've seen that.
Do not comply.
It's like, okay. Wow.
Well, that's what I've said all along. I got a T-shirt. Do not comply. Do not wear your mask. Do not wear your. And I think, hold on, Trump's saying that.
Did you see? I don't know if you happened to see the coverage in Spain, but they had a CNN town hall where they allowed Trump to sort of resurface and
I did see some of it, but I wasn't. I didn't see it all.
Well, I didn't see it all. I don't watch it either. I don't watch it. I just find it just contemptible. I mean, I used to actually watch out of curiosity, and now I just can't bring myself to watch. I just can't look at these people. But it was fascinating because I don't know if you saw the portion. I only saw one portion that I'm assuming, of course, is the best portion or the most meaningful portion of the whole town hall, which was they were pressuring Trump to make a statement basically saying that Ukraine must win the war. And he said, no, the war has to end. And I said, wow, you're turning...
Yes, I did see that.
You're turning Trump into a peacenik.
Yeah,
you're turning
but he's
Trump...
the only peaceful one now. All the rest is
right, I mean, how
we must destroy
insane.
Russia. I think it's not going to happen.
They moved and are making a move. They're pressuring Trump from the right.
Yeah.
How could people not see this? And that's actually something that I find interesting at this point as well, is that, talking about left and right, well, it's right-wingers who are concerned with human trafficking, quote unquote. Well, to me, that's a left-wing issue, concerned about the well-being of children. I mean, that used to be left, but instead now you have quote unquote left-wing people saying, oh, that silly stuff about human trafficking. I said, how could you make a joke out of human trafficking? Look at his
people. What the left should be diving on the Epstein stuff and all the CEOs and
we could clean up our whole political system, right, by just arresting the whole Epstein client list, and that would be a nice big cleanup job. But no one wants to do that. No,
and the BBC ex-BBC chief Thompson, Sir something Thompson, has now been Mark Thompson, been taken on by CNN as their new CEO. Now he covered up for Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile was the best friend of King Charles, but Jimmy Savile was a prolific paedophile who allegedly supplied, but he was not alleged paedophile, who went around abusing children and a necrophiliac. And he was covered up by this guy Thompson, who later became Sir Thompson, knighted by the Queen. And now he's head of CNN.
Wow.
It's such a deep pile of evilness.
Yeah, unbelievable. The number of children that go missing on a daily basis in America.
But you're not allowed to say that if you're left, because left people don't seem to believe that anymore.
Yeah, it's so strange to just hyper-vigilantly say, oh, child trafficking, that's a right-wing issue. How could you say that? I mean, even if there was one child missing, let alone the thousands upon thousands that actually are, every child is sacred, right? I mean, you should be embarrassed to make light of such a thing, but that's how far things have gone. And also, I mean, I guess there's a contradiction on both sides. The right wing, of course, doesn't support abortion. That's been a major issue of the American right. They're against abortion. But then the whole my body, my choice thing became very strange when medical mandates came around. Which, I don't want to discuss abortion either. That's a huge issue. I believe in a woman's right to make her own medical decisions. I don't think someone should be forced to have a child. I also don't think abortion is something to be taken lightly. I think people should be discouraged from using abortion as birth control. But how about just my body, my choice, and really meaning it, and not my body, my choice with a lot of other little exceptions.
Yeah, unless it's this, unless it's this, unless it's this. Yeah, I'm on the other side of the abortion argument, mainly because I used to be on the one side, and then it came home to me, and I thought, no. Having 6 children, I thought, and seeing what changed my mind, all my children, the last 4, were in vitro. And we got to see them at like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and it really changed me. I say, yes, if you want to get rid of them, first day after pill. If you know you've had sex, do it. It's very, very difficult for me. I haven't seen those, because when you go through an in vitro test tube children, you get to see the whole process, especially with twins that I've got from almost day one and the growth. And it changed my whole thinking on it. And it's something that it sort of overnight I went, look at that. And so I said, look, your children are there. And he was like, no. And then I sort of stepped back and went, wow. And I cannot now change that, because what I've seen, I can't unsee. And it's one of these things that I said before, sometimes I change my mind on things. And that's one of the biggest changes of my whole life, was that.
Right.
Really was that, wow, that child inside there is alive. That's my children. And it was the first 2 I had, the older ones, never saw them, just saw them like coming out. And you see the child get big, but then those really did. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Well, we're here to talk about everything. Well, one thing I'd like to point out is that, we're men. I'm a father of 2 children. Haven't quite caught up to Jeremy. He has 6 children, but he's a family man. I'm a family man. And I just would like to point out that, I live in New York. You live outside of Barcelona. Yeah. we're human beings. We're men.
Yeah.
We're capable of communicating. We're capable of agreeing and disagreeing. It's not this freak show that they've portrayed that everybody is your enemy. As soon as somebody has a different thought than you, oh my God, they're your enemy. I mean, what a ridiculous type of atmosphere we've created with this hypersensitivity and just basically a lack of immaturity in discourse. I mean, what else is it?
That's exactly what it is. And I find, because I go around talking about this in different places, and when I actually talk to people, it's amazing how they all come together. And the differences are so small, especially when I talk about the climate thing, because people think that because I don't think that CO2 is the driver, they think, oh, you're against climate, oh, you want to end the world, you don't care. When I explain things, they start to look at it from a different point of view, because they've never been shown. The fake stream, lamestream media will not show any other point of view. They will deny it. They will deny any other point of view, even though some of the greatest scientists in the world have said these models are wrong, especially mathematicians. I tend to think of one of the best mathematicians there. I can't think of his name now. Dyson.
Oh, yeah. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Freeman Dyson.
Oh, Freeman Dyson, okay.
Freeman Dyson,
okay.
Yeah. Now, the greatest, he's dead now, one of the greatest mathematicians of modern times, he said, well, you can't model the atmosphere like that. There's no chance. And they've been wrong every time, these models.
Interesting.
Every single one has been wrong. So we just keep repeating.
Yeah, speaking of wrong models, what about the wrong COVID models? They said Africa was going to be wiped off of the face of the earth. It's amazing the ability to be completely wrong and receive almost no criticism or skepticism as a result of your total wrongness. We're going to uphold you as an authority as you continue to be wrong down the line. How astonishing.
Now 3 years on, Sweden didn't lock down. Sweden had some of the lowest death rates, and now they've gone with the sort of natural immunity.
Yeah.
And they got the lowest death rates. And you think, hold on.
Although I wonder their vaccination
said they would have death rates hundreds of times what we did, and they didn't.
Right, they did. And a point that I'd like to make about Sweden, which I don't hear made often enough, is from what I understand, and actually we're going to take calls soon. If anything I said is incorrect, then jump in here and correct me. But from what I understand, the Swedish government left their health authorities to make health policy. They didn't have it mediated through their politicians. They say, you're the health experts, what's the correct policy? They don't say, oh, well, I'm a politician and I'm going to do this and do that because that helps my bottom line and my political agenda. And the Swedish health authorities determined that they would do more harm by locking down, which is what played out in all the places where there was major lockdown policies. People died of despair. People died of drug overdoses. Abuse victims were locked inside with their abusers. We're not going to school where they can report abuse, et cetera, et cetera. There's this long list of metrics that basically the Swedish health authorities took into consideration. And our authorities didn't take the devastating harm that would be caused by their policies into consideration and then act surprised by what many people predicted.
Yeah, and we've not moved on, have we? Because if you speak to people now, there's still a lot of people who don't realise, because these statistics that I show on my channel and lots of channels do are still not out there. Nobody sees these excess deaths or death certificates, that how deaths have grown so massively. The censorship, I think, is actually in fake stream media is stronger now than it's ever been. Through just ignoring.
Well, what's interesting is YouTube is specifically censoring the truth at this point. They're like an athletic soccer goalie just diving and blocking any truth that they don't want you to hear. They're diving to block it away from the listener. Censorship
just shows they got a lacking confidence of what they're saying by censoring any other point of view. If they were confident in what they were saying, they wouldn't censor.
Well, it's interesting. I pointed that out in my Substack that I released this morning, which is, you have misinformation, which is supposedly just incorrect information, just someone who's wrong and sharing their wrong point of view. You have disinformation, which is someone intentionally misleading others. And then you have malinformation now, which is correct information that cannot be trusted in the hands of ordinary people as they will misinterpret it. But there's no emphasis on clear information. So to me, the whole discussion of misinformation, disinformation, that's a smokescreen for you not knowing what the hell you're talking about. If you don't know what you're saying, then you're complaining about misinformation, disinformation. Well, I'm not interested in the misinformation and disinformation. If you know what's going on and you're the authority, then be clear about what is occurring, and we don't have to concern ourselves with the various misunderstandings of various people. But we have some callers on the line, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, great.
And
it keeps going off. The sound keeps going off at the moment. The last couple of seconds.
Oh, really? The sound's going off for him. Oh, no. Okay, yeah. No, we're all good. I think. Hopefully, we won't have any more problems. But we have some callers who are going to join us. So who do we have on the line?
Okay, great.
Oh, we have Phil from California. Excellent. I'm a big fan of this caller. How are you, Phil?
Hey, Jeremiah. I'm doing very well. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's great to hear from you. One of my favorite PRN callers.
Hi, Phil.
Welcome on the air.
That's very humbling. It's an honor to hear that kind of feedback. I really appreciate it. I was motivated to call when I heard the discourse about the left and the right, and I always hope people can consider video by second thought. A YouTube channel. The video is called America's Stunted Political Spectrum. And
say that one more time.
Find it. America's Stunted Political Spectrum.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah. And when I first saw it, it had 10, 20, 30,000 views. And then over the year, last year or two, it has gotten, I think, millions of views by now. Wow. I put it on my website, my blog, lumpen.org. or lumpenproletariat.org. Either your name will get you to my website where I wrote about it and put some comments in it. And the great thing about this video is that the host of Second Thought uses a political compass, and I believe that is at politicalcompass.org, where they explain the political spectrum. And I know that the term left has been abused and hijacked, as Jeremy Poole said. Terms like progressive have been hijacked and been made to mean something else. The corporate media constantly refers to the left when they refer to the Democrat Party and Democrat Party supporters.
Which I call the synthetic left, by the way.
Yeah, the fake left. Max Blumenthal has referred to the synthetic left. Max Blumenthal has interviewed Caleb Maupin, Maupin, about BreadTube. In England, the UK, and Europe, they have something called BreadTube. Intelligence agents who make phony YouTube videos posturing as the left. And we've seen this on our own. Where I come from, Pacifica Radio, KPFA out of Berkeley, and we have seen over the last 20 years synthetic left programming posturing as leftist, but really it's apologism for the corporate Democrat Party.
Right.
And a really concise definition for me, as far as what left and right is the fact that this is an economic distinction. So as far as your economic philosophy, and people that are laissez-faire capitalists who believe in free market, that is the right of the center. That's a pro-capitalist perspective. People who are left of center are anti-capitalist because to some extent they recognize that capitalism is against the working class. It is the opposite of power to the people, as you defined it, Jeremiah, the left being power to the people.
Right.
So if you're on the left, in my mind, and in the view of this video, America's Stunted Political Spectrum, and from what I understand in all of my lifetime of understanding and reading and studying Marx, and my degree is in economics, like Jeremy Poole as well. But the left is anti-capitalist, the right is pro-capitalist, or at least they're neutral or not anti-capitalist. And the Democrat Party has been to the right of this center, and to the point that we understand Obama was to the right of Ronald Reagan as far as economics. Now, there's cultural war issues that conflate another dimension on the political compass. So left to right would be economic distinctions, and then top to bottom would be where you have an authoritarian government, and then the bottom would be where you have a libertarian government. And so if you take two axes, on the horizontal axis is the left and right, choosing whether you're pro-capitalist or anti-capitalist, On a vertical axis, you can plot the distinction whether you're for the role of the state being authoritarian or libertarian. And now with those two axes, vertical and horizontal, you have 4 quadrants, whether you're a pro-capitalist authoritarian like Hitler or a anti-capitalist authoritarian like Stalin, or whether you're a libertarian pro-capitalist, which is kind of an oxymoronic position, which I think is unstable, or a anti-capitalist libertarian like Gandhi or Martin Luther King. And that's a much more rare position. And I would argue that I would think that we're probably, all three of us are in that lower left quadrant of anti-capitalist and libertarian, and that would make us leftists. But what do you think about that, Jeremiah?
I think you made a lot of interesting points, and I think there should be a big summit about this thing. I mean, one thing that I think is you have the left. I mentioned this in a previous program, that you have what I consider the rank and file left, the people's movement. And then you have the synthetic left that we referred to, which is the Democratic Party, which is really more center-right, pro-war, pro-corporate, pro-mandate, et cetera, et cetera. Then you have the commercial right as well, and then the hardcore right-wing militiamen who are, doing target practice as we speak. So, you have also, I think it reminds me of a Kurt Vonnegut quote, and I'm not that familiar with the literature of Kurt Vonnegut, but I know he has one excellent quote, which is, "Be careful who you pretend to be." And I think that's what's happened to the people's movement through our lesser of two evils voting strategy, which has wound up being our main strategy. Unfortunately, we have melted into what we despise. I think we weren't careful about who we pretended to be. And then we take our rank and file background and unfortunately become the foot soldiers for things like mandates. So I also would refer to Slavoj Žižek, who makes an interesting point to the effect of, why can't we just come up with solutions and decide what they're called later? Because I'm actually into a bigger overview of history in the sense of, I think we need to honestly look at the success and the failures of what has been called communism. I think a lot of leftists like to say, oh, well, that's not the left. They never achieved the dictatorship of the proletariat. Therefore, we don't need to historically address abuses that occurred in the name of communism. But then on the other hand, I would say, as far as capitalism goes, we don't talk about capitalist atrocities. We say communist atrocities. Well, what about capitalist atrocities like the transatlantic slave trade and the total genocide policy against the American Indians or the Native Americans, the indigenous people of this hemisphere? So I think we need to look at capitalism has invented a lot of things. It's done a lot of harm and a lot of good.
Can I jump in there?
I will.
Can I jump in there,
I would love.
please?
I was just about to invite you to jump in. I'm just going to make one last quick point, which I personally think that the modern right, again, to use these terms so loosely, the modern right has a cartoonish concept of history and communism, which I don't agree with. Like, they accuse Biden of being a communist. The guy's not a communist. He's not going to make sure that there's no homelessness in America. He's not saying anything about wear a red coat, but you're going to have health care. There's no benefit of communism in Biden's communism. But yeah, Jeremy Poole, please.
I'm back. I'm back now. I'm back.
Back in action. Let's hear you.
I lost you completely there. Yeah, one of my favorite authors is Alexander Cordell.
I was just saying quickly, Jeremy, that the right wing has a cartoonish concept of history, and that Biden is not a communist in my estimation.
No. He's as right wing as anybody. Two things I want to say. First, I'm going to plug a book by Alexander Cordell. He's dead now, but he wrote about the rape of the Fair Country, which was the South Wales Valleys, where I'm from, in the 1850s, end of 1700s, early 1800s, and how.
Uh-oh, we lost Jeremy Poole. What's going on? Did the CIA?
Oh no!
Did the CIA
Alexander
bust us up again?
Cordell, I think he said the author is.
Oh, are you back, Jeremy?
Alexander Cordell.
Yeah, you cut out for a second.
Something's going wrong with the line at the moment. Alexander Cordell. He was the rape of the Fair Country, and it's about all the Rebecca riots in South Wales, the start of the movement of the workers, and how the people in charge just killed the workers, tortured and killed the workers.
Wow, Malthusianism to the next level.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. And when people talk about the transatlantic slave trade, most people don't realise that in Britain, the people in charge were killing the workers, putting the kids down in the pits, in the mines, in the steelworks, and you expected your children to die. You expected your husband, your wife to die. And these people were starving to death. The number of people who starved to death, and because they weren't considered slaves, but there was nothing else they could do. They were taken to these towns. They had to work in the steelworks. They had to work in the pits, and they died by the millions. And it's a hidden part of history of the South Wales valleys, and all the industrial UK were killed. And you talk about the change. 1997, Tony Blair came into power for the Labour Party.
Oh, no. Yeah. All of a sudden it says poor connection.
There's been no representatives.
Okay. Yeah. Jeremy, somehow.
Shall I ring back?
Should he? Yeah. Try back.
Shall I ring back?
Yeah. Let's give that a try.
I will ring back now.
Okay. Sorry about that, Jeremy. He was on fire. He was giving us a great history.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to call him? Okay. Yeah. We're calling him. But yeah, Phil, thank you so much for calling. I'd like to take another caller while we have just 5 minutes to go. Yeah.
Thank you, Jeremiah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate you calling, and stay in touch for sure.
Hello.
Oh, Jeremy Poole is
I'm back.
Okay, yeah. And we have Juan from Richmond, Virginia on the air. Juan, are you there?
Hi, Juan.
Yes, hello. I'm here. My call is a protest call.
Okay.
Directed at 3 communities that supposedly represent the people in pain: the intellectuals, the religious community, and left-wingers.
Okay.
I'm a
Let's hear it.
construction worker.
Yes,
Hello?
the salt of the earth. Go ahead.
I'm a construction worker, and I'm concerned about what's happening in our communities concerning gentrification and homelessness and everything else. I know 2 ladies right now who own 2 homes. They cannot live in them.
Wow.
Because of major disrepair, and there is nothing in our black and brown community to which they can reach out to for help. Right. I've been trying for years to meet 1 or 2 of you to spark a movement that offers tangible alternatives instead of all these useless intellectual jive rap. And it is painful as hell to be aware of this, to want to do something. I'm alone. I'm 71. I'm a 71-year-old person, but I'm still in good shape to do it. I'm a construction worker, and I'd like to just mention a family that I met about 8 months ago. A young man asked me, "Do you do plumbing?" And I said, "Show me what you need." I went inside his house. His mother, his sister, and his brother, they owned the house, but they didn't have a toilet, even though they had 2 bathrooms. They didn't have anywhere to take a shower. The hot water heater was rusted out. The sewer system was completely clogged. I provided everything for them, all the plumbing fixes, and did everything by myself. And I reached out to people in the community to spark a movement. We need to establish construction companies specifically designed for us with funding. Nothing exists here in the black and brown community to fulfill the housing needs. We have a lot of useless intellectuals talking about it, criticizing the demons of the human community, but offering nothing in return to counter what the demons do, those who benefit from fossil fuels, drugs, junk food, and everything else. So I'm mad. You could probably feel the rage in me because I've been on this journey for about 25 years in New York City, D.C., and here in Richmond, Virginia. And some of the people I have approached are now dead, and they left nothing behind. As a matter of fact, some people that used to host a program on BRN and BAI. I've been to Harlem, South Bronx, Crown Heights, Best Sides. And it's so heartbreaking to see these women and these young people suffering needlessly because there is nothing that is being offered by those who criticize, again, the demons of the human community. And I would love to speak to you, Jeremiah, because I'm 71. And please don't make the mistake others have made. I called this program about 10 years ago. The person used to be on this lot. And she gave me a very intellectual explanation, but useless.
Yeah.
And 10 years later, things are a whole lot worse than they were 10 years ago. You see? And so sometimes
appreciate you,
we
brother.
need to accept constructive criticism.
Absolutely. I agree. I appreciate you.
right.
My email is jeremiahhosea@gmail, jeremiahhosea@gmail. Unfortunately, we're kind of running out of time here. It's been so much fun. But I would like you to reach out to me. I just came out with a new Substack today. Please subscribe to my Substack. If you can be a paid contributor, I'll make a donation to PRN. I'll split the spoils with PRN. Likewise, if you buy a chess lesson from me, remote learning chess, I am a chess teacher, buy a chess lesson for a child, I will make a donation to PRN and you'll be supporting me and my family. But first of all, stay in touch and follow the family man, Jeremy Poole, on Twitter.
Who is back now? Who's just got back on?
Yeah. So, Jeremy Poole, thank you so much for being on the air today, first of all. We have to do this again sometime soon. I can...
Anytime you want me, give me a ring. And if I can make it on a Friday evening, I'm usually working on a Friday evening. I really enjoy it. And, anytime, just give me a call, say, Jeremy, jump on today, and I'll do my best.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely be taking you up on that. And where can people reach you? How do they find you on Twitter?
On Bitchute, Jeremy Poole, the family man. I'm also on Odyssey, but not much, and on Rumble. On Twitter. X it is now, isn't it? X.
JeremyPoole, Jeremy Poole, the family man.
Jeremy Poole, the family man.
And he does outstanding Bitchute videos. I like the homemade stuff, and you're an example of the cream rising to the top. I just liked your content, so I
point out everything I do is recorded live once. I do it in this room I'm sitting in now. I come down. And I think, right, I've got to talk about that, and I talk about it. There's no scripts, no anything. I just talk. And if I'm wrong, please tell me. If I'm not, just press a like. That's all I ever say.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Jeremy. Thank you so much, Phil and Juan, for calling in. This is a call-in show, so I look forward to hearing from you next week. We're going to have an outstanding guest, another medical freedom activist, a brilliant sister, Tessalina, who, if you haven't seen her Substack, Tessa Fights Robots, is hot stuff. So Tessalina is the guest next week. Please check out my new article on Substack. Like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and I almost forgot. Tell them the truth about the truth, Jeremy Poole. What's your tagline?
That's my line.
Yes, I'm not going to steal your line. Tell them.
Truth is treason in the empire of lies.
Truth is treason in the empire of lies. So spread the word, everyone. The Bassline is on every Friday. Thank you, Jeremy Poole. Thank you, PRN. Thank you, Dylan and Kyle. And can't wait to see you guys, hear from you guys next week. Like, share, and subscribe, et cetera, et cetera. Make your donation to PRN. Buy a kid a chess lesson. And looking forward to our further discussions next week and in the future. We have some great guests lined up, so very excited to be here. Thank you.